Hello and welcome along to another episode and a start of a fifth season from this FM22 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back for a National League transfer special and our first game at this level away against Chorley as we return with Dover Athletic, having had no new job interviews or job offers in the summer. What it means is we've got a director of football's transfer window to rely on. It's not been bad, but we'll take a look at where we've got deficits in the moment. Certainly, it's fair to say that the problem has moved, and we'll also, of course, look at where we're expected to finish, what jobs we did have a brief look at, and what we expect ahead of the new season. So if you're looking forward to that, a National League with some very big teams in this season, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from two long-term stories. We had a summer transfer special in our one club story with Hemel Hempstead Town yesterday, and today we're back with this one. There's also links in the eye above to other playlists, the Twitch channel for regular live streams, and Cricket 22, its delayed release should be this Thursday, so hopefully you'll see some action from there later in the week too. But a massive thank you for your incredible support as always, it is greatly appreciated as we deal with a very big summer at Dover Athletic. And I think we have to start with jobs, because we're in a position where we're still here, we've not had any job interviews or offers, and we've applied for loads. I mean, there's not much left now, but we applied for jobs in League 2, bigger clubs in the National League, we applied for the Scottish Championship clubs, we applied for clubs in the likes of Finland, Iceland, Serbia, and many, many more. Not even a wiggle of interest from any club whatsoever. So we stay at Dover Athletic, and I'm not too devastated about that. I was up until about mid-July, but it looks like we've got some transfer news to help us out. So let's go and have a look at the released players, the ones that have left the club, and the ones coming in to help us. Fingers crossed there'll be enough to help keep us up. And we start on the released players screen for one bit of news, but the worst bit of news. It only came a couple of days after the final game of the season. Zach Smith, one of our best performers last season, despite being a very average player, decided to leave the club. He has gone to Wealdstone, who did not get promoted from the National League South. They got to the playoff final, and unfortunately, they lost to Maidenhead, a side that we found pretty easy going most of the year. So Zach Smith has left us for them. He's getting 325 quid a week and a proper contract for 2 years. I don't blame him. I'm not sure why we didn't tie him down. We move on to the current season. Nobody else has left as a release player. So let's go to the other transfers and see who's left the club. Nobody early in the window. However, we did have one early arrival who we'll go and meet in a second. The only player that has left the club though, and they left today, is Caelan Avenel, who of course was one of the few centre-halves left at the club last season. Not a very good one, not going to change the world for us. He goes to Grimsby as a future prospect. He's not even in their first team squad. That shows how weak he was for us. But if we go and have a look at the ins, we've got 3 that have happened during July and 1 that happened in May. So for a lot of June when the window opened, I was sitting there furiously waiting for something to happen. But the first man that came in very early doors was Johannes Hoffer from Arsenal. It's almost like the Hemel save where they're poaching under 18s who get released. He's a decent player. He's 18 years of age. He's got a good personality. He places his shots, which is a good trait, although he can't finish. So where he's placing them, I'm not quite sure. He's not composed, but everything else is there. I'm looking at him and thinking backup option on the right wing, perhaps. That allows us to leave Nibs and Adabomi up front. I'm thinking potential, certainly, 5-star and a decent personality. So we'll wait and see what comes of him, but certainly not a bad player to have in and around the squad. If he can replace, say, James Bibbo, I think he's an upgrade in the same position. So I'm happy enough. If we do get to that tactic later down the line, he'd be a great number 10. Got a good passing range, decent enough to be a support in the box finishing. And he's 6 foot as well, which means we can focus on height and physicality as always. So that was the early work. Then nothing for 6 weeks. And I've got to say, the first deal of the 3 we got in July wasn't one that excited me. Luther Williams came in from Billericay. Yes, he's a centre-half, which is what we needed, but not great. 2-star ability, not much more potential, 21 years of age and left-footed. So, good that he's 6'2", he's great in the air, but he's not the solution. I didn't look at him and go, I hope he's starting for us the first day of the season, he's going to be great. He is, though, very good positionally. It's by far his best attribute. And for those of you that have followed my banger save last year, or particularly my guide to the narrow diamond, you'll know why I find that attribute so important. But him, a decent player, gave us an option at centre-half, but certainly wasn't solving all of our problems. What has happened since, though, is pretty spectacular, because when the offer went in for Will Andy Appan, I got very excited. It took its time to happen, but what a player. 4-star ability, 5-star potential. A natural left back, a natural centre half, 6'3", and has everything in the book. Great jumping reach. He's quick, which allows us to play a high pressing line. Good tackling, maybe not the best positionally, but can also cross the ball. So I was looking at it first and thinking, well, yes, he solves our problem at centre half for now, but if we could get somebody else, he could be perfect as a left back. We could be like that old Tony Pulis Stoke side. 4 centre halves playing along the back, 2 of them with enough ability in him and Cowan to get down the line and get balls in, but also that extra height from set pieces. And Andy Appan, I think he's going to be a star. He's an under-21 international for Wales. He's played for Tottenham Hotspur, albeit not made senior appearances. And I just think, what a signing. So well done, Kevin Wilkin, for that. And then he backed it up. The day after Andy Appan signed, he went in and bid for Alex Pakpe, and my words, what a player again. 3-star ability, 4.5 potential. A centre-half released by Chelsea, but had then played for Dorking and for Dagenham for a full season, so has got a lot of football under his belt. He can play left-back, he can also play centre-half. So my plan is, he'll be my centre-half, 6'2", a limited footballer, but better positionally, good in the air, and electric quick again. And then we'll have at left-back Andy Appan, at right-back Dan Cowan, and one of the biggest back fours you'll see in the league. So that's something that's going to help us from set pieces. He's had 2 decent seasons, played nearly a full year in the National League last year. You've got to say for Kevin Wilkin, he's pulled off a couple of blinders there. We will have a work on a mentoring group for personality, but still, I'm really pleased with that man as a signing. What it does mean though, with the loans expiring for Squires and for Ben Friel, is that we've gone from one problem to another, because as you can see there are no replacement midfielders. The good news is that if we go to the transfer centre now, there is a loan offer in for Nathan McKenna. He did try and sign one other midfielder, I can't remember the name of, but he chose to go somewhere else. Nathan McKenna is a big wage contribution, 500-600 quid a week, but natural left back, can play centre midfield, and seems like a really good replacement in that box-to-box role. So I'd be delighted if he came in. So if we can get Nathan McKenna added to the ones we've got, I'm pretty happy. We're probably then just one midfielder away. So let's go and have a look at the squad and where that leaves us. It's still a fairly small squad. It's still a little bit limited. What I didn't realise is Johnny Lai, who I've dropped down to the under-18s. He was 6'6" last season. So despite having no ability, he might have been useful from set pieces. But it's the same goalkeepers. The back four and the signings we've made defensively basically means Ryan Hansen can become an anchor man again. He's going to be a natural defensive midfielder all year. And it also means that TJ Bramble can go in as a centre midfielder primarily. Now, I know he's better at right back because we trained him there last season. And that's the difficulty of the head coach. But he's okay as cover there. He's excellent in there. And he'll be another very solid midfielder. So I'm not too worried about it for a few weeks. But if we don't get McKenna in or someone of that ilk, it could become a little bit of a problem. We've got 5 good players sharing the front 3 positions. The addition of Hoffer has really made a difference there. But in centre midfield, there's just the concern that really, yes, there is 5 or 6 players, but Afinawozi and Elam are nowhere near the level we need. Elam is 1.5 star ability just. Afinawozi, 1.5 star ability just. And both of them wanted by other clubs. I'm sure they'll move on. But that leaves us in midfield basically with just TJ Bramble, Jake McCarthy, Ryan Hansen, and these 2 kids that are not good enough, because all 3 of the starters from last year, Smith and the 2 loan players, have left the club. So we're 1 player away from having a decent first 11. We're 2 or 3 away from having a decent squad. So we can't complain based on where we were last year. That problem has been solved. We just hope the centre midfielders come in a little bit quicker, because with that, I believe we can survive relegation. Let's go and have a look at what the media predict though. Doesn't matter what I think. Where do they think we're all going to be? I mean, it's a big league this year. The likes of Salford have come down, Harrogate have come down, as have Chorley, Oldham. I mean, there's loads of them down here. Only 4 years in as well, don't forget. Stevenage too. It's a very difficult league. We are predicted to finish, 16th. I was very much expecting that to be behind my head, but it's not. It's 16th place. So compared to other clubs promoted, Chorley, who we played today, Spennymoor and Maidenhead, Boreham Wood the favourites. What's happened to them over the last few years? And Torquay down there as well. That's a real surprise to me. Maybe our squad was a lot better than we thought. Maybe the National League South wasn't that weak after all. We'll find out as we go along. But into the first game of the season we go. It's an interesting start to the year. We played Chorley. We then played Bournemouth, who surprisingly are now relegation favourites. But then Salford, Oldham, Eastleigh, Stevenage. That is a tough little run of games. So if we don't get wins in one of the first two, then we could be waiting a while to put 3 points on the board. So let's go and get into this one against a promoted rival. They came from the north, of course. Let's pick our team, see what the assistant manager suggests, and then I'll be back to make my tweaks to it. We'll come back with the 11 in a moment. So here we go. Interesting stat for the day. Probably the tallest team we've ever had. Matt Everett is the only man under 6 foot, and he's 5'11". He's hardly short. The rest of the team is all 6 foot plus. We've got loads of tall defenders, all of them 6 foot tall or taller. Got a 6 foot anchor man in front of them. We look absolutely great. We've got that threat from set pieces. We've got a bit of quality in open play. But you can see there's just that one real deficit in centre mid. The substitute is weaker than last year, and last year's sub is starting. If that gets sorted with McKenna, we've got a good side. So the team for today, which will be playing in exactly the same tactic as last year, I'm not changing my philosophy. I want to go out all guns blazing. Matthew Hall between the sticks. Cowan and Andy Yappan the fullbacks. Hackpay and Ness the centre-halves. Hansen back into his familiar anchorman role with McCarthy and Bramble in centre mid. And then Kadua, Everett and Adabomi the front three. The likes of Nibs on the bench. Sweeney, last year's starter there. The new centre-half Williams. The new centre-forward Hoffer. And then Bailey Elam, the bit of the weak link. But the centre mids can't be far away. Into the game we go. Chorley v Dover. Hopefully, we can get off to a good start. Let me know what you think in the comments. Well, let's see how this works out. A few familiar names in the Chorley team. One that featured in our transfer special yesterday with Hemel Hempstead Town. So those of you up to date with that series will know who that is. Ollie Shenton is a very good player, former Stoke youngster. They've also dropped out Jordan Boone. Another one, a former youngster at Bolton. From that era where they had to play their youth team. So there are some decent players here, but we would like to hope at our best that we can go and get a result. Just be nice not to lose on the opening day. If we can pick up a point, if we can get on the front foot, that would be what we're looking for. Into the first half we go and see if we can deliver. Well, early doors, it's a corner kick for Matt Everett. It should be our strongest area, but we lose the header there. McCarthy, though, goes from distance on the edge. He's not got much in his game, McCarthy, but he has got a long shot. That one just over the bar, though. With 15 gone, we're on top. We've had all the shots on target. We even had more of the possession until just now. We've not managed to take advantage of it. 0-0 with half an hour gone. Chorley probably the happier with that. Well, just a couple of minutes to the break. It's been a quiet first half, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for us. Though Bramble gives the ball away in the middle, that centre midfield deficit is really costing us so far. As they break away here, Chorley, cutting in from the left-hand side. If we could just get a couple of dominating midfielders, I'd actually fancy us to have a real go at this league. We've not got a big enough squad. And we've not got enough quality in the middle of the park where the game is won and lost, famously, as Jug goes right to Pennant. He's got a chance to take on his man. They look very comfortable in possession, surely. That isn't a surprise at all. But we do force them back to the keeper with a good bit of pressing. Whether we're going to run out of steam more often in this league, I don't know. But Kadua's nicked the ball on the right here. Got Adabomi running off him, but he goes alone. No one follows him. Kadua into the box. And it's with his weak side. It's into the side netting. It's a very good run, though. And he looked pretty comfortable there. 0-0 at the break. Chorley not had a shot on target. We've been the better side by far. But we've not taken advantage of it. So we're going to ask for a bit more. We got most of the lads motivated. Now let's see if they deliver in the second half. Andy Yappan, weirdly, having a poor debut. Now he nicks the ball at left back here for Everett. Cuts it inside to Adabomi, who holds it up. Lovely ball for McCarthy to Kadua. Got a runner off him, but he goes himself. Gideon Kadua slide challenge, but it falls for Cowan. Back at right back after his stint in the middle. Cross to Adabomi. It's a brilliant ball in. And for all of the talk of the height, of the physicality, of the natural centre-halfness of our fullbacks, you've got to remember they can both deliver a cross. And at this level, that's going to be crucial. 1-0 Dover with 10 gone in the second half. And Adabomi picking up where he left off in the National League South. Right, just over 20 minutes to go as Cowan gives the ball away from a free kick. We're going to have to think about subs in a moment. Kapakwe's chasing back there. It's over the bar. We're forcing them to shoot from distance. I've got no real problem with that. Let's go and make a couple of changes ourselves because there are some tired legs out there. Andy Appan is one of them. He came in quite late. He's not match fit yet and he's struggling a little bit here. But naturally, we've got Jaden Sweely who can come on. He was our first choice last season. On the wing, we've got Everett struggling a bit, so Adabomi out to the left and Nibs up front. There are classic changes. We'll give Kadua 10 more minutes, but for now, I'm pretty happy with where we are. 15 to go. Adabomi now on corner duty into Ness. And some things never change. Goal and assist for the striker. And Lucas Ness, he's 6'4", he's imposing, he's towering. And he finally gets on the end of one. Kadua's really tired, so I'm going to bring on Johannes Hoffer for a debut for 15 minutes. He'll just run his heart out on the right and try and get the ball in. But what a start to the season. I know we're playing one of the fella promoted sides. I know they're expected to be in the relegation fight, as Ness has just scored his second header. Oh my words. He scored the 2 headers against Concord in the last episode that virtually took us up on the penultimate day. And he scored 2 headers to make sure we wrap up a win in our National League debut. I mean, what a table that is. We're top of the league with goal difference. We dominated the match. We were fantastic. And the new signings give us some hope. What we've got to do now is hope the centre midfielder comes in, because if he does, this could be a pretty good season, I think. Well, how interesting after all the talk. Chorley was shorter by an average of 2 inches per player and were ultimately outmatched on the day. So it's actually been pointed out here. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's really cool. But Lucas Ness, the man with 2. Adabomi scored a great header as well. All 3 goals coming in the air. 1 from an open play cross, 2 from corner kicks. Lucas Ness, star of the show. Perfect start to the season. Now let's work out where we're going to be back, because we'll be hoping it's with Nathan McKenna. We'll be hoping that it's still fighting at the right end of the league. But that sort of start is the one that can keep us up. We've mentioned we've got that awful run of fixtures against most of the relegated clubs. But I'm looking at 2 more big teams at the end of September. Notts County and Stockport. I'm interested to see where they're expected to finish. Notts County won on the opening day. Stockport drew. Let's have a look at the season preview. So Notts County are the favourites. They got relegated last season. Stockport expected to be in the playoffs. They are 2 very good sides, and that's going to be a marker of where we are. By that point, we will have played 3 more sides expected to be in a relegation scrap and 4 expected to be right at the top of the table. So this is going to be an interesting season. A very good start, a solid pre-season, some good work, albeit slightly late in a transfer window. So if you're looking forward to seeing what happens the rest of the year, you did enjoy that transfer special and big win against our promoted rivals, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the transfer work by Kevin Wilkins so far, and if you think we need to improve anywhere else. It's going to be interesting to see what is done. But for now, I'm pretty hopeful, and I'm optimistic that he's chasing centre midfielders now. Suggests that he knows where we need to prioritise. If you want to stay up to date with the series, as well as Cricket 22 coming later this week and the Hemel Hempstead One Club story, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. There's a link to all of those in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel for regular live streams. And I hope to see you next time for more big action with Dover Athletic, as we try our very best to stay away from a relegation battle. So far though, the signs are good, both on the pitch and in the transfer market.